Wagwan broski.
What's up, my G? Good? Real good.
Yeah, let's start it with a cheers, mate.
Thanks to the team.
Absolutely.
The first audience podcast. Shout out, audience. Welcome back to DRMPOD. I'm your host, Stevie Oxton, and another one of my lovely friends here, Mr. Mez. He needs no introduction, but he does. For the people that don't know, who am I sitting next to?
I go by the name Mezmure Dawit, Tekeste, Arshak, Estifanos, Kebork, Ethiopian boy by way of Sudan. Lived in New Zealand since I was 7 years old. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a professional house DJ, an amateur cowboy, and a full-time hostage.
Farah Swami was what I used to know you as. And then your handle is
Mezmure.
Mezmure.
Yo, rolling the R's. I love that.
I got a little bit of something in me.
I got a little bit of something. Yeah, Mezmure. Farah Swami was like I'll be honest, bro, I used to be a little too deep back in the day. Everything was just, I've learned to take life seriously, but take myself a little bit less seriously. So just came back to my real name, and it seems to be working for me.
So where's your cowboy hat?
Listen, I'm an Ethiopian boy. My mom's a country girl, and I make country music, but I don't feel like I have to embody the whole or personify the whole the country swag in everyday life, I feel like the music's authentic to me, and that's the only place I really take everything seriously.
I haven't not seen a lot of music come out. Well, there has been, there is little drips.
Which is by force.
Yes.
Because everyone around me is like, you should drop music, and I'm like, sure, but I've got a weird relationship with music, bro. I've never made music to release it. Music is my therapy. It's my diary. It's where I go to just say all the things that I need to say, and it happens to be great. And so, but I don't feel the need to release. I'm sitting on hundreds of records, bro, and I've hardly put anything out. But I had to take a serious look at myself and figure out where I sat. I think there was a lot of internal work that needed to be done prior to putting music out. And I've spent a lot of time doing that. New York was good for me. That was a crazy shift. New Zealand, I feel walls and a roof around me when I stretch. I feel limitations all around me. But in New York, I realized I'm not crazy. I've always been told to tone it down and slow down and just be a bit more quieter and paint within the color, paint within the lines, and just, I was just being told to tone it down, bro. Out there, I've seen crazy, and I'm not crazy. I'm really not. I'm the norm out there. So, just took a little bit of time of just figuring stuff out. To tell you the truth, when I moved over there, I paid my first month rent in advance. Bought my flights, and I moved with $50 USD in my pocket.
50K is very different to 50. Yeah.
Yeah, huge difference.
I was like, damn, boy.
Yeah, I moved over there with $50, bro. I'm just like that.
Well, yeah, it always works out.
I'm just like that. I could spend 6 months saving up to go, but I just know things would pull me away. So if it's time to do it, it's time to do it. I felt the calling. The French call it l'appel du vide, a calling from the void, and I just felt it. So I just surrendered to it, and it's the best decision I've made in my life, bro.
I think that's a good lesson to, if you are thinking of moving overseas or making a change in your life. It doesn't matter if you got $50 or 50K. Mm-hmm. It will work out.
It will. And if it doesn't, at least you figured it out. You found out it's not for you. If it doesn't work out, I'm in flow state with life, bro. I don't force anything. I don't fight anything. I do what's in my heart, and if it works out, life tells me, yo, this is great for you. Keep going. Or to tell you, like, yo, no, this isn't for you. And I think my whole life I had this image of what it meant to have cracked it. This image of what success means. And I chased that image for so long. And I just felt like I was, there's a story in the Bible of the Israelites after they were released from Egypt. It's a 40-day trip to the promised land. It took them 40 years to get there because they just kept traveling around the same mountain. And that resonates with me a lot because that's what I felt like I was doing my whole life, bro. I just kept running around in circles trying to achieve this thing that I painted in my mind as how it should be, but that's the complete opposite of flow state, It's
funny, when we met, we quite quickly figured out that we were quite similar people. Maybe it wasn't the time when you were going through your deep stage.
No, you met me at a wild time.
Okay.
I mean, in saying that, I've always had a certain level of depth to me.
Or spirituality.
Yeah, but nah, I was a wild kid, man. I was an idiot when you met me.
So what you just said, what is your definition of success?
It's molded and changed over time. What is my definition of success? I think when I really narrow it down, it's because I've learned to not only extrapolate things, but then simplify them when I try to explain my deeper levels of understanding or my deeper beliefs. And I truly believe being a human being, the art of it is to be, and I never knew how to do that. I was always so lost in the doing. I always was trying to validate this. I was trying to get this external recognition that I am who I am. And so I'd always say all the right things and do and try to do all the right things. But I always somehow felt like I fell short. And over the past couple of years over the past 10 months more than anything, I've just come to a place of being, bro. And I think that's the highest level of success to me, is authentically being yourself. Who are you? Once you actually figure out who I am, and I've realized that that's deeper than the flesh, the same intelligence that created the whole universe flows within me, and to really surrender to that power and accept that I am the I am, that's enough for me, bro. I'm so good with that. Everything else is just a bonus, Yeah. I think that's success to me.
So what have you been listening to at the moment? I know that Beyonce did somewhat of a country thing, and she did. She made a big. She was riding that horse, waving the flag.
That's not what inspired me, but yeah.
No, I was sure. I was collectively bringing even Post Malone at Coachella just done. His whole stage was super Texas. All of his new songs that I hadn't heard were super country.
For sure.
And then he's got that rap style. It's interesting to see it come through. Maybe it's what's happening in the States at the moment. I don't know. But you're over there now doing something along the lines of. I was wondering where it came from for you.
I grew up on like grassroots blues, bro. I was telling the boys earlier. I grew up on like Howling Wolf, Muddy Waters, and gospel. So my parents are super Christian. I was not allowed to listen to secular music growing up. I discovered Tupac at the age of 13. You know what I mean? So I was very sheltered into a specific frequency when it comes to music. And so I guess foundationally, country seems like something that naturally that I gravitated towards. But being a light-skinned Ethiopian from Sudan living in New Zealand, I almost felt imposter syndrome to make country music. And so once I shifted from trying to validate and get validation from the external world to just being authentically myself, that shame or I guess apprehension just disappeared. I think what Beyonce did was cool, but I think country's the new hip-hop, in my opinion. Hip-hop was like the thing that was disruptive. Hip-hop was the thing that came at a time where it was a tool used to tell a story that was, disruptive is the perfect way to put it. And then now that country is no longer just like old white dudes in country hats and boots that are from Texas or Idaho. SHABOOZEY, for me, SHABOOZEY's sort of the one that really opened my eyes to that. I was like, wow, you can really do this.
Right.
But being in New York is crazy, man. LA has this whole like, who are you? What does your dad do? How many followers do you have? Energy. New York doesn't give a shit. They really don't care, bro. Who are you? As in, do you know who you are? Can you back up what you say you can do? And are you authentic? If you are those three, bro, and you're good at and you can back it up, yeah.
You get opportunities?
Oh, bro, doors open like nothing, man. Like, I'm telling you, in the last 10 months, it's hard for me to even try to compact 10 months into a conversation. But the doors that have opened up for me, the horizons that have expanded, the networks that have expanded, and the opportunities that now present themselves to us, it's astronomical growth, man. And I did that at 10 months, what I couldn't do in 10 years in New Zealand.
And you got a NASA jacket on.
Yes, sir. That's so random.
Astronomical. Astronomical.
No, okay. I got you.
Did you always think that you were gonna leave Auckland or leave New Zealand? Or
I'll be honest, bro. The last time I left New Zealand, it's actually a bit of a crazy story. I felt this feeling of like something closing. It's the best way I can explain it. Something was closing and was trying to keep me here, energetically speaking.
Right.
I missed my flight. There's no way they should have let me in, but somehow I just like low-key begged at the front door, like, yo, like I need to be in New York, like it's the opportunity of a lifetime, like please. Then they called a couple people and they let me through. I got through customs, then got through American customs, and then I get home and like 2 weeks later, bro, I'm going through my luggage, just clearing up the last bit of stuff, and I see a little baggie in the corner, right? Bear with me. I've been sober for a while now. I've had nights where I've been like, okay, I'm gonna let my demons come out and play. But I've been very, very honed in and focused. So I know that nothing I'm about to tell you was from me. This is just what was in my bag from whoever I was around. This is the crazy part. I get to New York. 2 weeks later, I open up my bag. I'm like getting the last bit of clothes to wash. And I see a baggie in the corner, and there's a pure gram of Molly, bro. I'm like, okay, crazy. The fact that got through, but fair enough, it's a baggie. I keep picking up. I see a second one. I pick up the rest of my shit, bro. There's 5 grams of pure Molly rocks in my bag. The fact that got through customs on both sides. The craziest miracle. I told my mom about this, and she said, "Yeah, I prayed for you before you left. God blinded them." That's just how my mom is, you know. But I'm telling you, bro, I've always known that I needed to leave this place, but due to the crazy lifestyle that I led for a long time, due to my addictions, due to I used to be in a lot of different realities, which I would rather not speak about, on camera. But the lifestyle that I led kept me trapped for a long time, bro. And so I always knew I should leave here, but I never thought I would. I honestly thought I was going to grow up and die here. So when the opportunity came up and I left, it was the most scary and liberating thing I've ever done. But I know it was destined, bro, because the conversations I've had since I've been there, the relationships I've made, and the progress that I've created in my, not just even like professionally, but even internally, the amount of growth that I've experienced. I know that leaving New Zealand was definitely part of my story. Yeah, I have to. New Zealand just feels like this, pound for pound, I can promise you guys out there, pound for pound, New Zealand is the most talented country in the world, bro. Videographers, photographers, editors, musicians, producers, makeup artists, design, film, people that are in film. We literally have some of the most talented people in the world, but I feel like, I don't know, man, there's just this dark cloud above Auckland, above New Zealand, that just traps everyone in comfort, you know?
It's a tall poppy.
It's insane.
It is.
I'm willing to work with you as long as you're not better than me. Feels like it's what it is here. There, if you're better than someone, they're like, yo, I've got doors for you. I got opportunities for you. I have networks for you, you know? So going there really liberated me. Felt like I could breathe for the first time. So yeah, I needed to leave New Zealand, bro.
Are you happy?
Oh.
Are you happy, Mez?
Am I happy? No. Happy is a momentary emotion. It's finite. It comes and goes. I experience happiness all the time. I experience happiness. I'm capable of it, and I experience it. Like life, there's moments of happiness, but it's unreal. It's so unrealistic, man. We have this whole societal pressure to like be happy, chase happiness. He makes me happy. She makes me happy. I'm happy. It's just cap, bro. Like you can't be happy all the time. Frequencies are constantly oscillating. And so during that oscillation, you either going extreme, like you were saying earlier, there's extreme oscillation, and then there's the golden middle, but you're still always oscillating. You can never be a high vibrational being or happy all the time or just sad all the time. It's impossible. So no, I'm not happy, but when I am happy, I'm very grateful. When I'm sad, I'm grateful. when I'm horny, I'm grateful. When I'm angry, I'm grateful. Because in all of those different valleys and peaks, there's something that I learn, And so gratitude is the thing that I focus on. It's constantly like, no matter what's happening.
Keep bringing this up.
No matter what happens, bro, I swear, I'll lose something that I've really, really wanted, or I'll fail at something, and I just say thank you. Thank you for that. And I think that constant, we were talking about it off camera before too, actually, if you don't mind me bringing it up. The secret frequency of not needing, to not be impressed by things. I learned this recently through a friend, Kebork. Powerful dude, man. Like he's like me, like we clown 24/7, but we just like have profound shit we talk about, And he taught me the power of the power of not needing, bro. Like when you have an opportunity to get that job you want, an opportunity to get the girl you want, an opportunity for $1 million contract, it's that creates that you put such a you're so impressed by it and you've given such importance to it that it creates a chasm between you and the fruition of it coming to life. Is put further away because now that energy has created space. It's created distance. So I'm learning to just stay in the golden middle. I'll have phone calls sometimes that get me really hyped, and I'm like, this is normal. This is normal. I'm not impressed by this.
Yes, and we brought up what I said. It was like that's quite deep, and I think one thing that we could maybe help do is like deconstruct this, like, because I'm quite binary as well in a way.
Okay.
Like I think a lot of creatives' brains can go left and right, and if you apply some deeper thinking, and things don't have to be that deep, or they can be deep.
It's always deep. It's just whether we're willing to dive in or not.
Right.
Yeah.
But the oscillation thing, my brother actually taught me this, and that's why I went like that. He's like, he was trying to help me through my mental health stuff, and he was like, you're very like this. You're very up and down all the time, very happy or very sad. I'm either like...
Extreme polar ends of the spectrum. Yeah, I feel you. Same.
Correct.
Very bipolar.
And he just did a simple analogy of going, try be not like this, but like the, even just slightly less than that. And it's exactly what we're talking about. It's going, oh my God, I almost got this job opportunity. I'm so excited. And then you get let down. And you go from this massive high to this massive low. And apply that in a few things in life. And
this is where my relationship with God has helped a lot, because once you become one with the all that created all and has access to all, you understand that it's all yours anyway. It's all already happened. That's mine. And so for me to learn how to not react is hard. I'm very emotional. I'm very bipolar. I get hurt very easily, and I'm very emotional. Like when I get hurt, bro. When I get angry, you know. But just learning to take some deep breaths and then list the things you're grateful for, to just pray and put that on the cross and just let go of it, helps a lot. So, am I happy? No, but I have the potential to be every single day, and I allow that. But I don't seek happiness. I don't. I seek gratitude. Whether I'm happy or sad, I try to find the things in it that I can learn from, and I'm grateful for it. I'm glad that I can be happy. I'm glad that I can be sad, because I can feel I'm alive. I'm grateful for that. You know? Yeah.
Cool. What are your wants and needs?
How long we got?
Well, I think as a start,
okay,
based off what we've just been talking about and the understanding of the definition of it, because it's very entwined.
It's funny because every time you ask me a question, there's like what my program initially answers in my head, and then there's what I've been learning to teach myself
I've noticed that.
You know, it's like, what are your wants and needs? I want to retire my parents. Like, my parents have worked for 40 years straight, my G. Like, I've not seen them take a week off to just enjoy. Like, I see rich kids who have the most snottiest personalities and the shittiest energy, bro, that just have money, that are seeing Mykonos and Santorini and Ibiza and Tulum and the Maldives, and like, they get to have these experiences that I just wish people as good as my parents could see. So like, there's that need and desire and want to like blow up and have this money that I could liberate them from the I guess the matrix that they live in. But it's funny because they don't care. They're so happy. Like, they have so much joy in their heart. They have so much peace. They have a peace that I envy. So I've learned to let go of all of that. What I want is to be my most authentic self. What I need is to be one with God. And every day I have to remind myself of that, because my fleshly wants and needs, that's the first thing when I first wake up. Did that payment come in? Is this bill paid? What's my shorty saying? Like, there's all these things that are like that captivate, that hold my brain and heart captive.
The majority of us live in fear.
Yeah, literally 24/7. It's my first thing when I wake up. I'm anxious, bro. In fact, to be honest, it's probably because, like, when I sleep, you don't understand. I can sleep through a civil war. Like, when I sleep, my consciousness is gone. It's not here, bro. Even to wake me up is a process. Like, I have to download my consciousness slowly.
I've seen the videos
over an hour
of you in the studio.
Yeah, it takes time for me to wake up, bro. And so when I first come back, and that's that. Obviously, it's trauma. It's my experiences. I'm a refugee from Sudan, bro. Like, I've always grown up in poverty. I do not know what security or stability looks like, you know. So to come to that reality of like. Yeah, it's that's my first thought is fear, but it's learning that we have the power to combat that. With the first thing that I do, if the first thing that I do wake up anxious is this, I'm fueling it, because all I'm seeing is chaos. Every reel, every 10 seconds, there's just more chaos, more crazy things happening, you know. So I think to just take time when I first wake up, the first hour I just leave to myself to just breathe, maybe read the Bible, maybe to listen to a podcast, pray, go for a walk, sit in the sun, you know. Just an hour to just reacclimate and just change my frequency, because how I feel for that first hour is going to dictate my experience for the rest of that day. Like we said earlier, as within, so without. My frequency will attract my reality. So my wants and needs were really long, and I'm learning to let go of them. And they're not easy to let go of, bro, because they're things that I've told myself I needed and wanted my entire existence. All my decisions were based off it. So again, these last few weeks, just learning to let go of that has been... there's a certain level of ego death with that, you know. But I'm willing to hang him on the cross. Kill that nigga. Kill that nigga. He no longer serves me, you know.
I think that's a beautiful thing that you brought up about, you know, your parents. And it's funny because you said they're happy. which is ironic.
They have a happiness you can't buy, bro.
Well, I think it's a generational thing, right?
Yeah, true.
I didn't mean just your parents.
No,
I
I
mean
hear you.
parent,
Yeah. I hear you.
and I envy them because they're not as deep as me, but I see them as plodding around doing their thing, and they just seem happy. Did we fuck up and we went too deep trying to fix ourselves?
Yeah.
They were fucked too, but they just were like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Keep working hard, and you had to, so you did, and
Yeah.
So I've had that. I do have that. Those
And not even
thoughts.
saying they're not intellectual, but intellect is a curse. It's depressing. Seriously, it takes a certain level of. They say ignorance is bliss, and that's so true, bro.
Correct. Yeah.
Because my mom honestly doesn't care.
Mm.
I have my Jesus. That's it. She's just happy. Like, she doesn't care about nothing. That's crazy to me.
Interesting.
And saying that, she's probably the most emotionally intelligent person I know. She feels things about people halfway across the planet, and she'll call them, and it's happening. My mom's a real buzzy shorty, bro.
So I heard.
Yeah, she's trippy. She's trippy.
I guess you touched on it, but how was your upbringing, your childhood?
Definitely, old program. I used to say undeserving. I was going to say I've undeservingly had such an abundance of love, but I do deserve it. I just, I wasn't always appreciative of it, but I grew up in an abundance of love. My parents raised me like a really, like literally a king. Like, the ground I walk on is blessed because I walked on it, They showered me in self-worth. They showered me in my historic understanding of who I am. Mezmure Dawit, Tekeste, Arshak, Estifanos, Kebork. I know our story. I know where we're from. My parents did everything for me, man. I know there's so many nights I remember where we'd eat and they'd tell me they've eaten, and I know they haven't eaten. But as a kid, don't. But as you get older, you realize they gave me everything, bro. They're the reason I'm here. They're my reason for a lot of things. But I was just my foundation was the pillars of my foundation were always faith. It was always love. It was always understanding. It was always patience. The characteristics of God were my foundation. When he says, when the Bible says that, let us create man in our image. It wasn't talking those eyes and ears. It was talking about these characteristics I'm talking about: peace, love, joy, understanding, patience, kindness. And I was raised in that, bro. And so I always wonder too. I've got friends who weren't raised in that, who went to uni, graduated, have solid families. They're stable. They're kind. And I was reckless and an idiot and just not doing any of those. And so I always wonder if whatever your parents pour into you, by the principle of yin and yang, you're always going to express the opposite.
I do.
I can see it on your face. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, we can touch on the subject of your parents vicariously living through you. So it's they're trying to give what they didn't get, right? So they got brought up by their parents a certain way.
For sure.
And they're going, I do like this, or I don't like this, or I like some parts. I'm going to do the best I can for my child, or not do this for my child, or do this for my child. Opportunities, yada, yada, yada. And now, coming of age for you, in hindsight, you're now seeing what they did, and now you want to do back to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that resonates a lot.
Absolutely. But I was spoiled, bro. I was spoiled. I was sucking on my mom's tit till I was 5 years old. I didn't have to fold my clothes or make my bed
This is unconditional love.
or cook food until I was like 18 and moved out. They did everything for me, bro.
But in saying that, there's no right or wrong way to raise a child. We're all going to end up with something. And I see it in my own parents and then in my own brother and how they're bringing up their children. It's like everyone worries about, these earlier things that could potentially change a human's life. Why not conform?
To what?
What motivates you to challenge societal's norms? Or did music just kind of...
Okay. So my dad told me when I was very young that the highest level of, if you ask my dad what his definition of success, it would be to remain yourself in a world that's constantly trying to change you. He told me that when I was a kid, bro. And
it's a beautiful thing to hear from your father.
Yeah. Every teacher I've ever had, every family doctor we've ever had has always told my parents they should diagnose me. They believe I have, on some sort of spectrum of autism, or I'm ADHD, or I'm bipolar, or each one has said something different that I exhibit, certain tendencies, and that I should be diagnosed. And at every intersection of those conversations, I've heard my dad say, my son is who he is. We're not going to medicate him to make him like everybody else. So even him just defending me as a child, I noticed things like that. So I never had this need to conform, which is funny because the older I got, the more I conformed. The more I had more autonomy because I cared about the validation of the people around me. I cared that I was smoking like people around me or drinking like people. Like I you know what I mean? That kicks in later. But again, foundationally, yeah, I couldn't conform to it past a certain extent. And I think even the most powerful thing that I learned not from my parents, but from just the world around me was you got to choose how you conform. Everybody conforms somehow. You just got to choose what you subscribe to, you know? So I've conformed to the things that either please my flesh or please my aspirations. But I never felt the need to be like everyone else, man. It's okay to be different. My parents are so different. Everyone in my family's different, you know? And I've never been afraid of that. Differences don't scare me. When I meet somebody who doesn't speak the same language as me or looks different to me, I've never found that threatening or bad or negative. It's always like, oh, interesting, in the genuine sense of the term, you know? What can I learn from you? How do you say that word? Cool. English was my fourth language. Ethiopian, Arabic, Tigrinya, and then Amharic. It's my 4 languages. I tap into Farsi, Samoan, Tongan, Spanish. Like whatever I'm around, I absorb. I'm like a sponge, you know? So differences never scared me. So I was always proud to be different, like me. I was never afraid to be myself. People try to drill it out of me, for sure. New Zealand tried to drill it out of me, for sure. But, nah, never worked.
On that kind of conforming, why not settle?
Settle for what?
You know, I guess pushes for a specific image or, you know, likes things done a certain way. How did you, along your journey, keep your authenticity based on maybe like
to answer the first question,
came from yes,
there's enough people settling and I see it all around me and I don't like their reality. I never liked it. I look at artists around me, I look at people around me, so I swear to God, bro, I look at people around me and I was just like, cool, I see what you've achieved by settling. That's not for me.
Are they happy?
Yeah, right. No. Hey, even if you are, I'm not happy with that. I'm good. Like my parents settled because they had a duty to provide for us. Correct. And they settled for that reality.
Correct.
You know, and that's cool. And I respect them for it, love them for it, grateful for it. I couldn't be that. I couldn't do that. There's this, I don't know, bro. I think everyone's in their DNA. It's written whether you're going to accept it or not, you know? And it's just not in mine, bro.
Do you want kids?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm not. So I don't subscribe to the fact that, okay, once I have kids, my whole life is ruined. I have to settle now. Nah, bro. My kids going to travel with me. I don't want them in a school being told by some 60-year-old fart about what life is, bro. I want them to be in Southeast Asia and Africa and traveling and meeting people to actually know what life means. You know, I think they'll get more out of life from traveling and experiencing with me than being locked into some, I don't know, bro. This whole 9 to 3 is just preparing for 9 to 5. And, you know, I'm just not with none of that stuff, bro. I'll get them tutors. They'll still be intelligent. They'll learn on the go. And I think people are like, oh, it's good for them to go to school so they can really be social. Nigga, I'm Ethiopian. You have to be social. We don't know what private space. I don't know what privacy looks like. I don't know. I didn't learn about personal bubbles till I grew up here in New Zealand. You know, I mean, like, oh, you got something in your teeth. I'll grab that without even asking permission. Like, that's how we grew up. For me, it's like, no, I do want kids, absolutely. I just will not raise them and with any confines. Even my parents, like you said, there's no right or wrong way of parenting, but I can observe what's not going to work for me. And when I was going to touch something hot, my dad would do this. You know, don't touch that. So I didn't touch something, not because I know it's going to hurt me, but because I knew dad is going to hit me. Now, that over time, when you extrapolate it to my decision making, what it became was when I turned 18 and moved out the house and there was no one there no longer to tell me this, I made every bad decision you can think of. So I want my kids to understand the power of choice. I'm going to tell him as his father, hey, buddy, if you touch that, it's going to hurt. I'll tell him as his father. It's my duty. I have to warn you. But I'm never going to stop you from doing something. And after you've done it, I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to be here. We can wipe it away. I'll give you a little ice cream. We'll figure it out. And that hurt, didn't it, buddy? Yeah. You know? But I want to give my kids the power of choice, bro. I want them to understand how powerful they are. When we're in a shopping center and they're like, I want the chocolate. No, come here. No, that's so wrong. Why do you want the chocolate? Okay, well, we're actually going to have dinner first and then dessert. If you get the chocolate now, you can't have dessert later. Which one do you want? Like, giving them the power to decide how their life pans out is so important, bro.
Did you have the power of choice?
Nah. It's either you can't because I said so and you're under my roof or because the Bible said so. And again, look how my life turned out.
Absolutely.
I'm 33 years old, learning stuff that I could have learned at 20, bro. You know, things like discipline, financial literacy, saying no, discipline. Like I didn't learn those things, bro, because all those decisions were made for me.
Correct.
So from that learning, yeah, I want kids, but I'm gonna teach them how powerful they are. No limitations, bro. Like,
So isn't it funny that what we get taught, no matter right or wrong, we end up wanting to not do that.
Facts.
But then I think that my mind thinks that, like, if their grandparents, my grandparents told them that, I think it exponentially gets better. I would think that the logic gets passed on.
Sure.
So it's not like it goes opposite each
Yeah,
time.
for sure.
It goes take a bit, make it better. So essentially, we should get better.
If anything, I think our generation are the breakers of that chain, because we're much more introspective. We're much more spiritually in tune. We're much more open. We're much more like, I feel like the ones from like our parents backwards, onward, like, you know, upwards, there was just a way to be, bro. Like, it's just so archaic.
You had to, though.
You had to. And then, I mean, like, you know, at the risk of sounding crazy, the generation below us, onwards, in my opinion, it's a little too crazy, bro. It's a little too crazy.
It's an interesting conversation.
Okay.
Or are we old now? And we're just out of touch.
That's so good. Hey, that could be true.
Maybe they're goading.
You're right.
Maybe they're goading. And they're going...
We're the boom.
Oh, they're 30s doing their podcast?
Yeah. Well, okay, maybe. But I think, look, I just think there's a certain level of universal truth that we deny kids, you know. Everything is okay. Whatever you believe is fine. No, sometimes what you believe is crazy, my nigga. You know, and there's nothing wrong with telling somebody that. Like I said, there's certain topics that I choose to never speak on publicly, you know. But the truth of it is, you can live your life however you want. But to tell 5- and 6-year-old kids certain things that they're not ready to hear about, whether that be sexuality, gender, sex itself, there's just certain topics we should stay away from with kids, man. Like, they're kids, bro. You know, we're defiling a child's mind by making them open to conversations that they're honestly not prepared for. Now, there are some kids that are way beyond their years and feel certain things that you know, we can't explain. And if a kid comes up and says, hey, I feel this way, cool. That's a conversation. But to generally plant that seed in all children, mandated, publicly, it's crazy to me, bro. You know? So that's what I say by, I mean, like, the generation under us a little too much. It's like, yeah, there's got to be a line somewhere. But when it comes to my kids, man, they're going to be magnificent, powerful creators, bro.
I bet they are.
Yeah.
The generation gap. I just heard there's a book.
Yeah, there is. My mom published her first book called The Generational Gap. She I was her first kid. She had me when she was 21. All 12 pounds of me. Craziest big baby.
Big baby.
Yeah, I ruined that woman. She raising me was very, very hard for my parents because I was their first kid. Like, if I didn't shit for 6 hours, they would take me to the hospital thinking something's wrong. They my dad would read books and just like, yeah, they were just so attentive and like, you know, so scared of everything. But growing up in the Western world, our ideologies and the way we view the world are completely different, you know. They have very quite archaic Ethiopian, Eastern cultured ways of thinking. And so that theme seems to be quite a motif in our community. So yeah, she made a book to just tell all the other parents that were struggling with the same issues, being Eastern parents or refugees or immigrants or just migrants, that have kids that are raised in the Western world and are struggling to, I guess, understand them. And there's a lot of conflict, and households seem to lack peace in our community, you know. So yeah, she made a book, and she did pretty well. She ended up selling quite a lot of them. Made quite a great amount of money. And then I said, amazing, how much did you make for you? And she said, I gave it all to charity. I was like, what? But that's what mom's like, you know. She just, yeah, she gave it all to an orphanage in Ethiopia. But she's actually got a biography she's working on for her second book. And that one I've made a promise she'll keep some of it to herself.
Did you maybe get some creativity from mum?
From both, actually. So my dad, crazy enough, so I'm actually the least musically talented person in my family.
That's where I was going,
yeah. All my sisters sing way better than me, have better voices than me. They're pitch perfect. I'm not pitch perfect. I'm just, I'm more tapped in to the ether. I know how to let melodies flow through me. And I've done this for so long, so I'm just great at what I do. But no, they're way better singers than me. They're pitch perfect. They all play the guitar. My dad plays 4 instruments fluently: guitar, piano, drums, and saxophone. Taught himself all of that by himself. Like, he self-learned all those instruments.
Wow.
Yeah, literally. Like, he's always loved saxophones. Just like I see the way he talks about them, and like, you know, just adores other people that plays them. So for his 50th birthday, a decade ago, I bought him a saxophone, and yeah, within 2 months, dude was playing whole songs. Like, it's crazy. Mum was always in the choir, church choir. She's always humming and singing. When she was pregnant with me, she hummed and sang the whole pregnancy. So I've always just like, yeah. My name Mezmure actually means Psalms, which means music. My dad's name is David, so I was named Psalms of David. Yeah, and so I've had very, very musical family.
So do you think that, and you said you're bilingual in 4 languages?
QUAD-LINGUAL? That's a word.
Yeah, bilingual, yes. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
QUAD-LINGUAL.
technically I am bilingual now. I only speak 2 languages fluently, which is English and my mother tongue. Arabic, I was born in Sudan, so Arabic was my second language. Tigrinya is Eritrean. Like, we lived in compounds, and all our family friends were all Eritrean. So as a kid, I was a sponge, man. I used to pick up languages like this. Even now, I pick up language faster than most people. But when I moved to New Zealand, I'm speaking Ethiopian at home and then English outside. So the other 2, I just, you know, you don't use it, you lose it.
Sure.
So you can drop me off in the country and I'll figure it out. But
do you think that by way of your quadlingual upbringing, has that helped your creative process and perhaps creating the artist that you want to be in the future?
I think it helps me with like I'm like, linguistics is my thing. It helps me with communication more so than I think my art. Maybe that's just not something I've thought about, so I don't have an answer for that. But in my communication style, absolutely. So when I think, my thoughts aren't in English. I think in my mother tongue. Yeah, I have to translate into English before I speak to you. And I'm great at speaking, so it looks effortless, but there's a lot of brain processing power that goes on when I speak. So yeah, my thoughts are in my own language, but I don't think in English. Obviously, I can think in English, but it's not my instinctual initial thought, you know? And I'm very visual. Like, when I talk to you right now, every word I'm saying, I see words flying past in my head. Each word I say. So I've always been visual. I can see words. When I listen to music, I see colors. I'm synesthetic, so my brain's a weird one.
I wasn't trying to throw you off with that. I think
that's a good question.
We when we were listening to the new sound,
the country songs.
Yeah, I think you kind of alliterated a way that you know it came from a bit of this, and then I did, and Mum loved country, so I did. Was there like a connection between?
When I say
telling your story, or even in the words, or is it?
I don't have an answer.
Are they love songs? Like, you love your R&B? Like,
it's
and
funny.
Where do the words come from that when you do write? Or you said you sometimes they just come like a paintbrush would be what you...
The country project was very, very intentional. Each song was articulated and created specifically for its position in the project, and like it was very calculated. But like the first, like every single song had the story, but the plot, it was all discussed. And when I was walking around the room being like, okay, I feel like this song needs to be about this. Like, what's the situation? It was very orchestrated. Mostly, I just express myself. I just write. And when I do, it's funny because I played my music to somebody, listened to like my catalog of R&B songs and Afrobeat songs, and I remember saying to her, I said, I can't quite remember who these songs are about. And she said, I think they're all about you. And I said, what do you mean? She said, I feel like these are all letters to yourself. And I thought that was very fascinating. Until she said it, I never quite thought of that. There's a language that my heart speaks that nobody else understands or can speak. And so when I write, I feel like it's me communicating with that, you know? It's me speaking to myself. It's me writing letters to myself, to my heart, you know? It's fascinating. I never thought of it that way until she said it. So now I've taken that on.
Maybe like you said, it's like your therapy. It's like, it's fire, you know, it can hurt to think about those times or those scenarios, but then in itself, writing it and then, I guess, singing it and then performing it, it's like, and that's giving back to...
I haven't, bro, I'll be honest with you, I've never really performed my songs, bro. Like my singing songs. I remember when I was a rapper, I did. As a DJ, I perform all the time.
True.
But these singing songs, they're different, man, because a lot of people I know, like, this is why a lot of people say to me, oh, you're a singer. I'm like, I'm a recording artist. And I say that intentionally because I sit there in front of the microphone and I'll sit on a beat, and my process is I'll have the beat on record from beginning to end, and it'll loop for like an hour, and I'll just sit there and close my eyes, and I'll just hum and sing gibberish. I'll just say whatever. It doesn't make logical sense what I'm saying, but the reason why is I allow my inner child to just find melodies and sing melodies. Then later I listen back to the recordings and I'm like, yo, that was fire. That was fire. Okay, write something to the syllables. I see your face up in the sun. I try talking to the moon. Then I write the words to it. So that's always been my process. But when it comes to singing live, I don't know, because I'll do the first line again and again and again and again and again, and I'll change my tone of my character, and I'll use nasal and chest, and like I'll sing in different ways until I find that persona that can really sing with conviction. And I'm like, okay, this is that. I found the guy. You know, that's like the all different actors that I like audition until I find the right guy to take the role on. And then yeah, I just do takes and takes. So for me to just like sing in front of a crowd, it's very nerve-wracking and it's vulnerable and scary because like I'm not perfect and I fuck up heaps, you know. Excuse Me While I Kiss the Sky was a project I dropped. You remember you were at the launch party for that, weren't you? Yeah, see, that's my kind of shit. I love shit like that. You know, it was like this cool space that had projectors from all angles of the roof that created this 3D space of colors and shapes that allowed people to just see music the way I see it and feel it the way I feel it, you know. But what people don't know about that project, bro, is I took 1.5 years to do that project. So when you heard it at the release, that was 1.5 years after I'd started that project. I've never said this publicly, but at the time, before when I started that project, that was my last letter before I was going to take myself out this planet. I decided I was good. I was done. I'd experienced too much, and I didn't want it anymore, which now in hindsight was crazy because, like, I love life way too much, you know? But at the time when you're younger and, yeah, I was just in a different space, you know? When you operate on frequency for a certain while, certain dark thoughts become reality, and they become so simple and easy. But, yeah, I decided I was going to take my life after this project. I just wanted something on the internet of me that would be there forever after I was gone. And throughout the process of that 1.5 years, the music healed me, bro. Like, by the time the project was done, I was like, oh, I don't feel like that anymore. It was catharsis, bro. Psychological relief through the expression of strong emotions. And that project ended up being one of my favorite things I've ever written, bro. It's so beautiful and vulnerable. But I can't sing like that. Those songs, I couldn't perform that today. I couldn't even re-record them again. There was such a pain in my voice. There was such a brokenness, such a fatigue, such a... scary to think about, bro. It's dark, but you know, there was what I was feeling and going through at the time was so heavy that was what gave me the tone to articulate those melodies properly. And so that was the second time. The earlier on, I remember when I was 20 years old, I decided I was going to take my life too. And what's crazy is the reason why I could never actually cross that line to do it is every time I've thought about it or gotten to the point of doing it, I just see my mom's face, bro. I just see her, and she prays for me every day. This is my soul. She's the reason I'm still alive, is her prayers, you know. And I just see her face, G, and I see my dad's, and I'm just like, fuck, like, I can't do that. I can't let them see. Like, I just couldn't imagine what they would feel if I did that. So, yeah, it's crazy that we have the highest suicide rate in the world.
Yes.
I don't know what the solution to that is. I don't know what the reason is. I just want to say, if there's anybody watching this where you're in that space and operating on that frequency of self-hate and thinking you're not enough or you're not worthy, just know that you have been created on purpose with a purpose. God loves you. I love you. As long as you just try to learn how to love yourself, something will meet you halfway. Take one step towards self-love, and something larger than yourself will meet you and give you grace and understanding and patience and compassion. You know, it's just, yeah, it's one of those conversations, man, where like everyone thinks they know the solution to everything, but
sauce.
You really don't, bro. It's just I know what it feels like to be in a place that's so dark and so heavy that you feel like there's no hope and there's no light. But I promise you, time is the true healer. Give things time. Dedicate yourself. If you feel like this sounds crazy to say out loud, but there are ways to kill yourself that isn't suicide. You can kill the old you. You can kill your habits. You can kill your addictions. You can kill your friend circles. There's things you can destroy before destroying yourself, you know? And I think yeah, I hope you find that, man. I love you. Hope you're okay. Because that's a dark place to be, G. If it wasn't for music and my parents, I don't know I don't know if I'd be here, cuz.
Yeah, in another tongue, it's purpose, and you know, these walls and barriers that society can put up can really affect you, and especially at a younger age, you don't realize it, especially for, you know, you or me, or our kinds of brains. I said, what? I actually had a question. What would you change to help the younger, different kids based upon what your dad said around when he had your back?
Wow, yeah.
And he didn't give you, you know, he said, my son doesn't need a diagnosis. Did you know you were different?
There's probably a few people out there that'll be like, yeah, this nigga definitely needed to be diagnosed. Ruined a few lives.
Hey, well, some people like to be labeled things and some people don't.
Nah, no, but I'm crazy, bro. Like, dead ass, like, until 2020, where I learned, like, how to regulate my emotions through breath work and just, like, learning to be in nature and ground myself and learn how to journal and, like, really just, you know, until I found holistic ways.
I was going to say, yeah, your journey of self-discovery and healing.
Yeah.
What made you make the changes from the addictions, or what was the biggest? You know, there's no golden nugget.
Yeah,
but
for
like
sure.
You said, yeah, breath work was obviously one.
For sure. I met
journaling.
One of my best friends, Jesse Wynyard, and another guy called Isaac Gurali. They're two people I hold dearest because they genuinely were the catalyst to my growth. They were breathwork instructors, and they were, you know, meditating and fasting and, you know, tapping into veganism, and like they were just these like dudes that I saw as like, fuck, they got their shit together. Which is funny because like we're all humans, you know. They got their own struggles and their own things they're working on. But from my perspective, I saw them as like just like, wow, these dudes are amazing. And in 2020, we went to LA. I had a cool opportunity out there. I remember I landed in LA on March 10th. Went to a studio, wrote one of my favorite songs, Timeless. Asked my bro Goon de Garçon, where should we go? And he said, go to a place called No Vacancy. Craziest experience. By the way, once you go clubbing overseas and experience what it's like out there, you can't club in Auckland anymore, bro. That's just crazy. But anyway, I went out that night, had the craziest night ever. Got on a whole bunch of substances. Just did my thing that I would normally do. And then we wake up the next morning and we're starving. You know, the next day we're coming down. We're hungry. We're tired, hungover. We go to get some food. Subway's closed. We go to McDonald's. It's closed. We go here. It's closed. We go there. It's closed. We're like, what the fuck's going on? We go to a 7-Eleven and we're like, yo, dude, can we get some food? What's going on? Everything's closed. And he said, oh, haven't you heard? It's the first day of global lockdowns. This was March 11, 2020, bro. And we were like, what are you talking about? And he told us. And so I don't watch the news. By the way, I don't watch the news. That just, bro, it just sends so much fear and programming every single day. Like, yes, the world is crazy and there's chaos, but there's equal amounts of beauty too. And when I was a kid, I remember the news used to have some cool stuff, you know? It used to be like bad news, cool stuff, weird stuff, bad news, cool. Now it's just bad, 24/7. So anyway, I don't watch the news. So we went for a drive down Hollywood Boulevard, and there was just military like tanks everywhere and like federal soldiers, and it was the craziest shit ever, bro. So anyway, when that happened, I was locked in for 3 weeks with Isaac in that Airbnb. And before then, I spent because I knew I was going there, I think it was 2 months. This was during winter. He lived in Whenuapai in a container. Like, he had a container that he turned and fitted out into a crib. And I lived in a tent on the ground outside this container on a farm in Whenuapai, planting shit with this guy and just like eating with him whenever he ate once every 2 days or whatever. Just like, you know, I just undertook his program, bro. And that kickstarted my extreme experience into it. And I struggled, don't get me wrong. It wasn't easy. It was a very dark time and it was crazy for me. I had just broken up with my ex-fiancée at the time. And yeah, it was a crazy time. But that kickstarted my deep dive into, I guess, self-discovery and these modalities and tools that are available for us to be able to, I don't know, just find a bit of grounding and peace in this crazy world, bro, you know? But yeah, 2020 started everything. That was when everyone thought the world was ending. My world was literally starting.
Everything happens for a reason?
It started for me. People were like caving in, going crazy in their house for 6 months. I'm like, bro, I'm an artist. I've been doing this for years. I'm happy chilling at home. Government was sending out bread left, right, and center. Just, you know, I was just, yeah.
Do you think you've found your answer?
For what? To which question? Because there's a lot.
Your answer, like, is there do you think there's a point at which searching for answers becomes like counterintuitive, and the journey of self-discovery and inquiry is like itself important.
I think I was always looking for the answers to the wrong questions, and it started becoming about like finding what the right questions were. You know? Yeah. It became about finding what the right questions were. So now I really love great questions. Like I love the questions that make you dig deep and figure things out. And those weren't the questions I was asking. My questions were, how do I make $1 million? My questions were, how do I become famous? My questions were, how do I have 5 girlfriends at the same time? Like I was asking the dumbest questions, and I thought I was in pursuit of this really like cool, purpose-driven thing, but it wasn't, bro. It was so futile. It was fickle. It was so shallow.
Do you think we're taught? Do you think society is teaching us to be happy? Is there too much emphasis on being happy?
Yeah.
Whilst not being ourselves?
Yeah. I think on average we see about 2,400 ads a day, I read somewhere. So 2,400 times you're being told subconsciously, you're not good enough. You have to have this to be happy. You have to have this. So if there's, my thought process is, if I'm being told 2,400 times by society that I'm not enough, how am I combating that? By telling myself, how many times do I tell myself I'm enough every day? You know? So I think spending time alone, spending time in solitude, breath work, painting, jogging, running, whatever your modality is. One powerful thing I learned was the power of the word art. It's like the word art.
Yeah.
It's the first 3 letters of articulation. Now, to some people who are bricklayers, that's their creative expression. Lawyers, bus drivers, doctors. Like, we have so many different modalities. Everybody's an artist. It's just about finding the modality in which you articulate yourself the best, you know? And for me, it was music. And so I found the thing that, carried me through. But, have to ask the right questions. I love you, bro.
I love you,
always
dog.
make me just laugh like a kid. Even though we're not saying anything, there's so much being said. I love it.
Do you think God has given you a purpose? Or did you find it?
I think God is the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and again, like our ego always thinks I always used to think music was my purpose. How fucking crazy is that? This thing that I love that serves me is my purpose, whereas my purpose is to serve. And that essentially is what God is, to give yourself for everything else. God flows through all living things, whether you believe in Him or not, whether you serve Him or not, whether you worship Him or not. A tree will always give you oxygen, whether you say thanks, whether you appreciate it. You don't even notice. You drive past I drove past 1,000 trees on the way here. They don't care. They're still a tree. And I think that's what God is, the essence of nature. And I think that's what my purpose is to be like God, to live in servitude to everything around me, to give life and speak life into everything around me. That's my purpose. Music is my vehicle. It allows me to arrive there. You know, it allows me to get out all the things that are distracting me from doing that. And if I'm talented enough and liked enough where I can generate a business from it and it gives me freedom and liberates me financially, mashallah.
Living the dream.
Mashallah. Yeah.
Funnily enough, what is the dream? Are you living it? Money aside, for you and not anyone else, what would be living the dream? Mum and Dad they're in Mykonos. They're great. They're on a yacht, in fact.
Honestly, I feel like to me the pinnacle of what my dream would look like is to be able to create with no limitations. When I wake up, I'm not thinking, oh shit, I gotta pay bills, so I gotta go do this. It's freedom. I've never wanted money for like, oh, I'm a rich. Like, if anything, I wanted money to do more for the people around me. You know, money just offers me freedom, which is why I want money. And J. Cole said it best. He said, I just wanted the respect, but it came with fame. And so unfortunately, in the world we live in, fame is how we attain the respect and the money that we need to attain freedom. And so I just got lost in that. However, what is the dream? The dream is to be able to wake up every single day and do in my heart what I was born to do, which is to love everybody around me, respect everybody around me, and every single person I encounter, I speak life into them. Every person that meets me walks away feeling like their cup has been filled. That's the dream. But I'm going to be making music while I do that. You know? That's for me. Music is for me. Yeah, music is for me. But that's the dream, bro. To just be a human in its highest form of authenticity, doing nothing but just zinging and walking around, and everybody who's around me can't help but be uplifted.
I think we talked about it earlier. It was like when you got the secret sauce, you could literally be doing anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The I am and the knowing.
Just find the way you articulate yourself the best. Do that for you. Whatever. In fact, that's truly like the coolest advice I can give anybody. Whatever makes you the best human being to people, to everyone around you, do that. I swear, bro. I've met people who are Muslims, bro, that are the most beautiful people in the world. I've met people who are Hindus. I've met people who are Taoist monks. I've met Christians. I've met people from all walks of life who, whatever they believe in, makes them beautiful. And if they didn't have that, they would have been vile. You know? So I'm not here to tell you what to believe in. Just follow what makes you the best human being. And don't trick yourself into thinking you're a great human being, because by nature we are wicked, bro. We are envious. We're so greedy, bro. Like, you look at time and time again, humans have fucked everything up, and we're fucking everything up. You know, and I look at the world around me and it's like, yeah, there's so much chaos, but I have the potential to either add to that chaos or add to the beauty. So I just, you know, whatever makes you add to the beauty, stick to that.
Amen.
Amen.
Do we have a name or a date of the project? And when can we be hearing this? Hearing these new tracks? Or
the name I'm working on, I wanted Ibiza, but they gave me Idaho. Like, I want to, because, okay, so the whole marketing strategy I'm coming out for my country project, because I'm a house DJ, bro. And I'm killing it as a house DJ. Me and my brother are smoking in NYC right now. And so my page, there's this conflict of, like, branding wise, am I a house DJ or am I a country artist?
Sure.
So I found a cool way to fuse it, which is that we're creating a repeatable signature content series built around a simple but hilarious concept. A house DJ trapped in country music hell by family and tradition. And he's actually incredible at it, despite hating it. That's the whole brand. So the content pieces I'm going to be making up to promote this whole rollout is me doing like a firehouse mix transition in a setting that would normally be like what house DJs create content as. And so people think it's another just like DJ. And then something will happen, whether it be like a cowboy hat dropping on me or a lasso catching me and pulling me out. And then the scene abruptly changes. And I, like, in a eye-rolling way, sing the country song that I'm forced to sing out of tradition and family duty. And so I look like this guy who hates the country music and he just wants to be a DJ, but the music is fire. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
Yeah. So I've been coming up with cool marketing ways to share. So I don't have a date. I'm currently in conversations with a distro agency. I just locked in a fire-ass lawyer in New York, who's my entertainment lawyer now, who's handling all that for me. I have an amazing manager, Amber J. Shout outs to you, Jory. My whole team is crazy. Jesse, my A&R.
I've seen the stories, and that's definitely one reason why I wanted to get in and talk to you and see you before I come and see you
in New York.
Bro,
it's gonna be a time.
I'm very excited to see your journey, and I'm glad that you made the step with $50 in your pocket and just did it. Because so non-fear based decisions will make you go all the way.
And on that note, best advice I could give any human being, especially of those of you that are in New Zealand, spend 3 months just stacking some bread and just fucking get out of here. Just travel. I swear to God, bro. I was just telling the boys outside, with Ray and Santino outside, and I'm telling them, if you just go buy a one-way ticket, find a local job, like out there, be a waiter, and just hustle. Even worst case scenario, you have the safety blanket of calling a mate or your family to bring you back home because you fucked up and you spent everything in 6 months. Cool. You got no money. And at least you have 6 months experience in a different country.
Right.
But in a country where I feel like we always have to be the vibe, when you travel and you just realize there's just a vibe there and you can just be a part of it, it changes your perspective and your scope, bro. It broadens your horizons. You realize there's so much more out there than what you thought there was. It's very limiting being in a small town. A small city like this. You think Auckland is a city until you go to a city and you're like, yo, I feel like I've just come back to the countryside. You know? So just travel. New Zealand is a gorgeous place. Don't get me wrong. It's great to live here, but just get out for a bit. Just go risk it.
Go see the world.
Life is so short, bro. You know, you could die tomorrow, my nigga.
You've only got one.
That camera died just on cue. Perfect. Let's just wrap it up with those two. It's all right.
Lovely to talk, my G.
They can see me over there.
Thanks, everyone.
Love you, brother.
Love you, brother.
Creativity is whatever you want it to be. What we created here was a space people can come, really be themselves and create whatever they want their dream to be. You know, we remind people to remember their inner child, to really go after what they want in life. It's a beautiful thing to be able to live your dream, and being around people and facilitating their dreams is my dream. My main question in life is why and why not? And I say that because I believe we only have one life. It's a chance, it's an opportunity to do what you want for the rest of your life. Every day, wake up, create and destroy. Create and destroy? What is that, Metallica or something? Essentially what I'm trying to say is there's no need to prove yourself. You're your only judge, you can do what you want, and that's what Dream Park is about. Whatever your dream is, we can make it happen.